Have you ever stood in a place so quiet you could almost hear the past? It's the whisper of time itself. It speaks of people who lived and dreamed and built wonders. These are the whispers I've spent my whole life chasing. It's about listening to those whispers, feeling the heartbeat of civilizations that vanished. The stories of these lost worlds are all around us, etched into the very fabric of the earth. It's about learning the language of silence. Even the greatest empires can turn to dust. So, I invite you to come with me. Let's step into the profound silence of the ancient world. Together, we will try to hear the stories that the stones are yearning to tell us. The desert. It seems so empty, don't it? But I see something different, a vast golden blanket that nature has gently laid over the secrets of our ancestors. A forgotten city, a lost temple, a clue to a puzzle. Just underneath is a deep well of the past. They hold the physical proof of incredible human achievement. It's knowledge, a connection to people who were just as human as we are. What civilizations lie sleeping beneath these golden waves, and what can they teach us about our own world? Every lost civilization leaves behind an echo. Sometimes it's a faint whisper, and other times it's a thunderous roar that reverberates through the ages. Think of the Olmecs in the heart of the Mesoamerican jungle. They carved colossal heads from volcanic rock, each one with a unique face, a unique personality. These stone giants have watched in silence for 3,000 years as empires rose and fell around them. Who were the powerful rulers they represent? And why did their civilization, the mother culture of ancient America, vanish so completely, leaving behind these enigmatic faces to stare out at eternity? Their echo is a deep, resonant mystery. Then you have the Indus Valley Civilization, a world of stunning order and ingenuity. They built some of the world's first planned cities with sophisticated water systems and grid-like streets. This was a society of engineers and innovators, spread across a territory larger than ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. Yet, we can't read a single word they wrote. Their beautiful script remains one of history's greatest unsolved codes. Their echo is a frustrating silence, a story we see but cannot hear. Why did such an advanced and sprawling civilization collapse and fade from human memory for millennia? And out in the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, there's Nan Madol, a city built on a coral reef, a Venice of the ancient world made from massive basalt logs. Legend says it was built by twin sorcerers who used magic to make the stones fly into place. The sheer effort it would have taken to build this city is mind-boggling, even for us today. It stands as a testament to a forgotten maritime kingdom that mastered the ocean. Its echo sounds like the crashing of waves against ancient stone, a song of incredible ambition and deep, dark secrets. What kingdom ruled from this impossible city on the water? These are not just isolated curiosities. They are pieces of a much larger human puzzle. From the world's oldest temple at Göbekli Tepe, built by hunter-gatherers, to the lost cities of the Pacific, these vanished worlds challenge everything we thought we knew about our own past. They show us that the path of history wasn't a straight line. It was a complex web of brilliant beginnings, mysterious endings, and incredible achievements that were lost and then found again. Each echo tells a different part of the story, and each one asks us to look deeper and question our assumptions. My name is Professor Nia Lux, and I've had the privilege of walking in the footsteps of ghosts. My work has taken me to the very edges of the known world. I'm an archaeologist, but I've always thought of myself as more of a detective, piecing together stories and shining a light on what has been lost. This isn't a journey you can take from a library. You have to go there. I want to take you with me to share the thrill of discovery. We will travel across continents, beginning in Turkey, then to Mexico, Pakistan, and finally the Pacific. We'll use cutting-edge technology to breathe life back into these forgotten worlds. This is your invitation to step into the unknown and become an explorer alongside me. When you spend your life studying the past, you learn that history is not a collection of answers. It's a collection of beautiful, haunting questions. These are the questions that keep me up at night, the ones that fuel the fire of curiosity. How could hunter-gatherers, people we thought were simple and nomadic, have organized themselves to build the monumental temple complex of Göbekli Tepe, thousands of years before the pyramids? What kind of society, what kind of belief system, could inspire such a monumental leap in human history? It's a question that shakes the very foundation of our understanding of the past. And the questions just keep coming. As we travel the globe, we see strange similarities in places separated by vast oceans and thousands of years. We see shared symbols, similar architectural techniques, and common myths. Were these just coincidences? The product of a human mind that thinks in similar ways no matter where it is? Or could there be something more? Could there have been a lost chapter in the human story, a period of global connection and shared knowledge that we have completely forgotten? The thought is tantalizing, almost a heresy in mainstream archaeology. But it's a question we have to ask. What causes a great civilization to fall? It's the ultimate question, and one that resonates deeply with our own time. The Indus Valley people were masters of urban planning and water management, yet their cities were abandoned. The Olmecs created a powerful legacy of art and culture, and then they just disappeared. Nan Madol, a feat of engineering, was left to the ghosts and the sea. Was it war, climate change, disease, or something else entirely? By understanding why they failed, perhaps we can learn something vital about how to ensure our own survival. Their silent ruins are not just relics, they are warnings. And so our journey begins. It is a quest driven by these profound and unanswered questions. We are searching for more than just lost worlds. We are searching for a deeper understanding of ourselves. We are looking for the common threads that bind all of humanity together across the ages. The secrets are out there, lying in wait, buried under sand and shrouded in silence. All we have to do is be brave enough to look for them, and patient enough to listen to their stories. The sands of time are shifting. Let's see what they reveal. Our journey begins in the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey. The locals knew this hill as Göbekli Tepe, meaning the pot-bellied hill. Little did they know it was a man-made mountain, deliberately created to cover something extraordinary. They were walking on holy ground, the roof of the world's first cathedral. Göbekli Tepe forces us to throw out the old history books and start writing a new one. We have to stand on this hill and comprehend a revolution in human consciousness, an idea powerful enough to gather people together and build for the gods. In 1994, archaeologist Klaus Schmidt saw what others missed at Göbekli Tepe, a man-made hill, not a medieval cemetery. Scattered limestone slabs and flint tools hinted at something ancient beneath the surface. Excavation revealed massive T-shaped pillars carved with animals, forming vast stone circles. Radiocarbon dating stunned the world. Göbekli Tepe was built around 9,600 BC, thousands of years before Stonehenge or the pyramids. This was not just another ancient site, it was the oldest known temple complex, built by hunter-gatherers. The discovery shattered old theories about the origins of civilization. Göbekli Tepe forced us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the Stone Age. Beneath the hill, archaeologists uncovered massive stone circles, some still hidden underground. Each circle is made of towering T-shaped pillars, some weighing up to 50 tons, carved and transported without metal tools or animals. At the center, two colossal pillars face each other, stylized as human figures with arms and belts. The arrangement suggests ritual gatherings with benches and walls enclosing the space. The acoustics amplify voices hinting at ceremonies or storytelling. Building these circles required hundreds of people and unprecedented cooperation. Göbekli Tepe challenges the idea that agriculture came first. Perhaps the desire to build sacred spaces sparked civilization. Here, the temple may have come before the town. The pillars of Göbekli Tepe are covered in vivid carvings: foxes, leopards, snakes, vultures, and scorpions. These are not food animals, but symbols of power, danger, and transformation. Some scenes may depict rituals or even cosmic events, like a comet impact. Human figures are rare, often small or headless, overshadowed by animal spirits and the imposing T-shaped pillars. The art reveals a worldview where humans were small, and the wild spiritual world was immense. Göbekli Tepe is a Stone Age gallery of fear, awe, and cosmic mystery. Its carvings are a message from a lost world. The builders were hunter-gatherers, living in a fertile land of wild grains and gazelle. Multiple groups must have united to construct Göbekli Tepe, driven by powerful shared beliefs. The site likely served as a pilgrimage center, drawing people for feasts, rituals, and collaboration. Organizing labor, food, and resources required leadership and planning. Archaeologists found animal bones and stone troughs, evidence of massive gatherings and perhaps even early beer brewing. This was humanity's first great collective project, built around a temple, not a king. Göbekli Tepe marks the birth of organized society, fueled by spiritual hunger. It stands as a monument to the impossible. After 1,000 years, Göbekli Tepe's creators deliberately buried their temple under tons of earth and stone. There was no war or disaster, just a careful, ritual entombment. Some believe changing beliefs led to its burial. Others think each circle was meant to be used, then buried, layer by layer. The hill itself became a monument, a mountain of memory. This act preserved the site for millennia, protecting it from destruction. It's as if they wanted it hidden, waiting for a future generation to discover its secrets. Göbekli Tepe remains a puzzle, its final purpose still shrouded in mystery. We journey from Turkey to the lush jungles of south-central Mexico, the land of rubber, or Olmen. Here, the Olmecs, Mesoamerica's first great civilization, emerged from the dense forests. Once dismissed as a backwater, this region birthed a culture that shaped all of Mesoamerica. The Olmecs, named for the latex trees, left no written records, only monumental stone, jade, and earthworks. Around 1700 BC, small villages united, building ceremonial centers that rose from the jungle. They pioneered the blueprint for later civilizations, taming the wild and creating sacred spaces. Their legacy is the foundation of Mesoamerican culture. The Olmec story begins with the roar of the jaguar, their most powerful symbol. Nothing prepares you for the first time you come face to face with an Olmec colossal head. They are overwhelming. Carved from massive boulders, some stand over 11 feet tall and weigh more than a city bus. They are so lifelike, so full of personality, that it feels less like looking at a sculpture and more like meeting a person. These are portraits of powerful men. These ancient people, with no wheels and no beasts of burden, somehow managed to move these 40-ton boulders across rugged mountains, through dense jungles and over swampy rivers. Each head is unique. We are looking at the faces of the first kings of Mesoamerica. Many of these heads show signs of deliberate mutilation, perhaps a ritual act done after the ruler's death. The colossal heads were the public face of Olmec power. Their capital was San Lorenzo, a city made of earth. Around 1400 BC, the Olmecs created a massive, sacred effigy mound. Atop this artificial mountain, they built their ceremonial center, with palaces and plazas. San Lorenzo was a carefully planned cosmic map with complex drainage systems. At the center of their spiritual world was the were-jaguar, a creature that is part human, part jaguar. Around 900 BC, the city was abandoned and power shifted to Levanta. Here, they built their first Great Pyramid. The Olmec civilization wasn't dying, it was reinventing itself. The Olmecs may have vanished from the historical stage, but their influence never truly disappeared. That is why we call them the Cultura Madre, the mother culture of Mesoamerica. They created the original recipe for civilization in this part of the world and every great culture that came after them. The Maya, the Zapotecs, the Aztec, borrowed heavily from their cookbook. They were the innovators, the ones who laid the cultural and religious foundations that would last for thousands of years. Their legacy is like a ghost that haunts all of Mesoamerican history, visible in the art, architecture, and beliefs of their successors. Think of the great pyramid cities of the Maya. The very idea of building a sacred mountain, a pyramid oriented to the cosmos, began with the Olmecs at Levanta. The ritual ball game played in courts all across ancient Mexico was an Olmec invention. They were the first to use the sacred 260-day calendar that would become the basis for timekeeping for all future Mesoamerican civilizations. They were the first to develop a complex iconography and possibly even a system of writing, though the evidence is still debated. They were the original trailblazers, the ones who first asked and answered the big questions about divinity, kingship, and the universe. We can see their fingerprints everywhere. The Olmec reverence for jade, which they considered more precious than gold, was passed down through the generations. Their powerful jaguar god evolved into the rain deities of later cultures, like the Maya god Chayak and the Aztec god Tlaloc, who are often shown with a similar downturned feline mouth. Even the practice of bloodletting and sacrifice as a way to nourish the gods has its roots in Olmec ritual. They established the fundamental concepts of Mesoamerican religion, that a sacred pact existed between humans and the gods, a pact that had to be maintained through ritual offerings. Without the Olmecs, the story of the Americas would be completely different. There might have been no Mayan calendar, no Aztec pyramids, no Temple of the Sun. They were the spark that started the fire. And yet, for all their foundational importance, they remain shrouded in so much mystery. We know what they did, but we don't truly know who they were. We have their art, but not their words. We have their monuments, but not their history. They are like a mother whose face we can't quite remember, but whose influence we feel in every aspect of our being. To understand the Olmecs, examine what they made. Their art is a language communicating beliefs about power and existence. They were master carvers of colossal heads and smaller objects, working jade by grinding it with stones. They created figurines, often of the were-jaguar infant. One famous example is the wrestler, a sculpture with a dynamic lifelike pose. Another powerful art form is the ceremonial celt, a ritual axe head made from polished jade. At La Venta, they created and buried a jaguar mask mosaic. For the Olmecs, art was not for decoration, but an active agent. By looking at these objects, we glimpse the soul of this forgotten civilization. The great Olmec center of La Venta flourished for 500 years. It was a beacon of culture and power, its influence spreading across Mesoamerica. But then, just like at San Lorenzo before it, the end came. Around 400 BC, the city began to decline. Its great monuments were toppled and once again, ritually buried in the earth. The site was abandoned, and the jungle slowly crept back in, swallowing the Great Pyramid and the sacred plazas. The Olmecs, the great mother culture, simply faded away. They vanished from history, leaving behind only their enigmatic art and the silent faces of their stone kings. Why did they disappear? It is the final and perhaps greatest mystery of the Olmecs. There is no evidence of a conquest, no signs of a massive war that destroyed their society. Some environmental archaeologists believe that climate change may have played a key role. The rivers that were the lifeblood of their civilization, used for transport and agriculture, may have shifted their courses. This could have silted up the riverbanks, making it difficult to grow crops and move goods. Volcanic eruptions in the nearby mountains could also have covered the land in ash, disrupting their way of life and forcing them to move away. Another possibility is that the civilization simply broke apart. The Olmec world was a network of centers, all tied to the capital. It's possible that over time, these smaller centers grew more powerful and independent. The complex trade networks that the rulers controlled may have collapsed. The ideology that held their society together, the belief in the divine power of the jaguar kings, may have lost its hold on the people. Without that centralizing belief system, the Olmec civilization may have simply fragmented, its people dispersing and becoming the seeds for the new cultures that would rise in their place. And so, the Olmecs leave us with a profound sense of wonder and a deep mystery. They rose from the jungle floor to create Mesoamerica's first complex society. They carved faces in stone that are as powerful today as they were 3,000 years ago. They laid the groundwork for all the great civilizations that would follow. And then, they were gone. Their story is a powerful reminder that even the most innovative and influential cultures can fall, their cities buried and their names forgotten. They are a testament to the cyclical nature of history, the endless rise and fall of human ambition, forever watched over by the silent, eternal jungle. Our journey carries us eastward to South Asia. We come to the Indus, a river that has been the lifeblood of this region for millennia. Beneath these plains lies a secret, hidden for 4,000 years. The ghost of a civilization rediscovered in the 1920s, a third great cradle of civilization, a contemporary of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, larger than both combined, yet completely lost to history. The people of the Indus Valley left us a script we cannot read. This is the story of the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, a tale of incredible urban planning and a sudden, inexplicable decline, a society that achieved greatness and then vanished into the earth. Our exploration begins at Mohenjo-Daro, or the Mound of the Dead. Archaeologists uncovered this spectacular, well-preserved city in the 1920s. Walking through the ruins today, you see a city with streets in a perfect grid. The city is divided into the lower town and the elevated citadel. Instead of palaces, we find public buildings like the Great Bath. Where are the kings? The society seems remarkably egalitarian, focused on community over individual power. The Indus Valley people were masters of hydraulic engineering. In cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, they created the world's first urban sanitation systems. The Great Bath on the citadel of Mohenjo-Daro is a marvel. Scholars believe it was a ritual pool for spiritual purification. They were brilliant farmers with sophisticated irrigation systems. They built massive granaries to store surplus food. This focus on order and water control tells us about their mindset. Their cities were designed to be clean, efficient, and harmonious. The thousands of tiny, intricate seals they left behind are their soul. Carved from steatite, these seals are miniature masterpieces, usually no bigger than a postage stamp, yet crammed with detail. Each features a carved animal and mysterious symbols. The most common image is a unicorn. The elegant symbols are the great unsolved puzzle. Despite decades of effort, no one has been able to decipher it. Other seals depict a rich world of animals, both real and imagined. These tiny seals are our only window into the minds of the Indus people. They are beautiful, frustrating clues to a story we are desperate to read. What was it like to live in these great Bronze Age cities? The evidence suggests a vibrant, cosmopolitan world filled with artisans. They produced beautiful pottery, intricate jewelry, and fine tools. Trade was the lifeblood of this civilization. Their seals have been found as far away as Mesopotamia, proof of a thriving international trade network. Archaeologists have found stunning necklaces and figurines. The dancing girl shows a confident figure. There is a strange lack of evidence of major warfare, leading some to call it a peaceful empire. For nearly 700 years, the Indus Valley civilization flourished in remarkable stability. But around 1900 BC, the great cities started to decline. Modern archaeology suggests the end was more of a slow fade than a violent explosion. The most likely culprit? Climate change. Drier climate and tectonic activity may have caused the Ghaggar-Hakra River to dry up completely. People began to abandon the cities, migrating eastward. The memory of the empire faded, their secrets waiting to be rediscovered. Their story is a sobering lesson in how even the most advanced society is at the mercy of nature.
Perfect.
Our final journey takes us to a remote and mysterious location. Our destination is Pompeii, a tiny island in Micronesia. Here lie the ruins of Nan Madol, a city built upon the water. Nan Madol is an architectural marvel, a complex of man-made islets crisscrossed by canals. Built from colossal basalt logs, some weighing 50 tons. It is a ghost city, a testament to a forgotten dynasty. The local people whispered stories of powerful sorcerers and a cursed city. To approach Nan Madol today is to enter another world. You paddle through silent avenues flanked by towering walls of black stone. It feels haunted by the question, who built this impossible city? The scale of Nan Madol is mind-boggling. Constructed from an estimated 750,000 tons of basalt, a volcanic rock that naturally forms into columns. The builders used these stone logs to create immense retaining walls. The quarries were located across the island. How did they transport them across miles of open ocean without modern tools? They likely used fire and levers, building rafts to float the giant logs. The islets are built directly onto the coral reef. Builders laid a base of boulders, then built retaining walls, filling the interior with coral. It was a planned city, designed in harmony with the natural environment. At its heart is the Royal Mortuary Center, Nandawas, a sacred chamber where the kings of the Saudeleur dynasty were laid to rest. It speaks of a society with a rigid hierarchy and a ruler seen as a living god. The people of Pompeii tell a story of magic. Two brothers, Olisipa and Olosopa, came to Pompeii. They were powerful shamans who used their magic to make the giant basalt logs fly through the air and settle into place. This is how the city was founded. The story reflects the arrival of a new ruling elite who took control of the island. These newcomers became the Saudeleur dynasty. They established their capital at Nan-Madol. The Saudeleur dynasty ruled Pompeii from Nan-Madol for over 1,000 years. But the legend also tells of the dynasty's downfall. A great warrior hero named Isokelekel arrived to challenge them and overthrew the last Saudeleur king. After this victory, Nan-Madol was abandoned. Nan-Madol's location seems impractical. Why build a city on a reef separated from fertile land? Life here would have been incredibly difficult. The rulers were completely dependent on the main island for food and water. It was a city built to project power and enforce control. The Saudeleur kings created an aura of mystery. The local people call the waters around Nan-Madol the venom of the reef. The canals were said to be home to giant sacred eels, which were fed turtles as part of religious rituals. Life in Nan-Madol was a life surrounded by danger, both real and supernatural. It was a constant daily struggle against the limitations of their chosen environment. Nan-Madol is part of a larger story, the settlement of the Pacific Ocean. Built by descendants of the world's greatest navigators, Austronesian explorers used stars, sun, swells, and birds to cross vast oceans. They possessed a deep, intuitive knowledge passed down through generations, creating mental maps of the ocean. Nan-Madol suggests connectivity between islands. These were masters of the ocean, not trapped. The ocean was their highway. Could other centers like Nan-Madol exist, hinting at a more complex, interconnected Pacific history? After the fall of the Saudeleur dynasty, Nan-Madol was abandoned. A powerful taboo preserved Nan-Madol. Today, nature reclaims the city as climate change poses a dire threat. The ocean threatens to swallow their legacy whole. We are in a race against time to study this unique place before it is lost forever. Like the Indus Valley, this civilization left no written records. Their history is preserved in oral traditions and the enigmatic stones. Our journey ends in this city of water and stone, a monument to human ambition. Nan-Madol is a poignant reminder that even the greatest works can be swallowed by time. We have traveled across the globe and through time. We have seen distinct worlds, each born from a unique landscape. But now, we must pull back and look at the whole map at once. When you do, a strange pattern begins to emerge. You start to see echoes and uncanny similarities. We find recurring symbols that pop up in these cultures that should have had no contact whatsoever. Are these mere coincidences, or are we seeing the faint footprints of a forgotten connection? Consider the symbol of the handbag. We see it on the pillars of Göbekli Tepe 12,000 years ago, and in ancient Mesoamerica. How did this symbol appear in two separate cradles of civilization, thousands of years apart? They create a chorus of questions that is impossible to ignore. Beyond shared symbols, ancient sites share a deeper connection, a shared obsession with the sky. Builders encoded knowledge of the sun, moon, and stars into their structures, mirroring the cosmos. It's as if they worked from the same cosmic blueprint. Göbekli Tepe's pillars align with constellations, possibly a Stone Age observatory. The Olmecs, Maya, and Aztecs meticulously aligned cities astronomically. Even Nan-Madol's layout reflects astronomical logic. How did disconnected cultures develop such similar celestial focus? Was this knowledge independently developed or a legacy of a shared tradition? These tantalizing clues, the shared symbols, the cosmic alignments, the sudden bursts of architectural genius, have led some researchers to a bold and controversial hypothesis. They ask a simple question. What if there was another chapter in the human story, a chapter that has been almost completely erased? Could there have been a widespread, sophisticated maritime civilization that existed deep in our past, during the last ice age? A civilization of navigators and explorers who mapped the globe long before we ever thought possible, spreading their knowledge and their symbols as they went. A lost golden age of humanity. This is an idea that most mainstream archaeologists dismiss as fantasy, the stuff of myth and legend. But new scientific evidence is forcing us to reconsider. We now know that the world looked very different at the end of the last ice age around 12,000 years ago. Sea levels were up to 400 feet lower than they are today. Vast areas of land that are now underwater were once dry coastlines, fertile plains, and island chains. Could a civilization have existed on these now submerged lands? Could their cities and monuments now be lying at the bottom of the sea, lost to history? This idea resonates with ancient myths from all over the world. Plato wrote of the sunken city of Atlantis, a powerful maritime empire that was destroyed in a cataclysm. In India, there are legends of the lost land of Kumari Kandam swallowed by the sea. These have always been dismissed as mere stories. But what if they are distorted memories of a real event? We now have geological evidence for a period of catastrophic global flooding at the end of the Ice Age, a time of rapid sea level rise as the great ice sheets melted. Any civilization that existed along the world's coastlines would have been utterly destroyed and submerged. This hypothesis could explain some of the puzzles we've encountered. It could explain how hunter-gatherers at Göbekli Tepe suddenly acquired the knowledge to build a massive temple. Perhaps they were the survivors of this lost civilization carrying a fragment of its knowledge inland. It could explain the shared symbols and astronomical knowledge found across the globe, not as independent inventions, but as the scattered, diluted legacy of this common ancestor. It's a radical idea, and the physical proof is still missing, likely buried under hundreds of feet of water. But it is a possibility that we can no longer afford to completely ignore. Whether it was a single lost civilization or a series of brilliant independent cultures, one theme unites their stories with a terrible finality: their vulnerability to the forces of nature. We, in our modern world, often feel that we have conquered nature with our technology. But the stories of these forgotten civilizations are a humbling reminder that this is an illusion. They show us that climate is not just a backdrop to history, it is a primary actor, a powerful force that can create empires and just as easily destroy them, leaving nothing but ruins in its wake. The Indus Valley Civilization, with its masterfully planned cities and sanitation systems, was a society that prided itself on order and control, yet it was brought to its knees by a force it could not manage, a shift in the climate that caused the life-giving monsoons to fail and the rivers to dry up. Their world ended not with a bang, but with a slow, agonizing whimper of thirst and starvation. Their story is perhaps the most chillingly relevant for our own time, a 4,000-year-old warning about the consequences of environmental change that we are only now beginning to heed. The fall of the Olmecs may also be linked to the environment. Volcanic eruptions could have poisoned their fields with ash, while shifts in river courses could have disrupted their agriculture and trade routes, leading to the abandonment of their great centers. And out in the Pacific, the fate of Nan Madol is now directly tied to the rising seas. The very ocean that its builders mastered is now poised to reclaim their legacy. The monumental city, which has survived for 1,000 years, may not survive another 100. Its story is a stark illustration of the fragility of human achievement in the face of a changing planet. Even the mysterious burial of Göbekli Tepe might have an environmental explanation. Some theories suggest that the very act of building the temple and feeding the workers required such an intense exploitation of the local environment, deforestation, overhunting, that it led to an ecological collapse. Perhaps they buried their temple because the paradise that had sustained them was gone, and they were forced to move on and adopt a new way of life. The ruins of the past are not just monuments to human genius. They are also crime scenes, where the victim was often the environment itself. So where does our journey leave us? We are left standing before the great, shifting sands of time, with more questions than answers. We found threads that seem to connect these lost worlds, but the threads are frayed and the pattern is incomplete. We have found clues that hint at a much older, more complex story of humanity than the one we find in our textbooks. It feels as though we have stumbled upon a few surviving pages from a lost chapter of a great book, a chapter that tells a story of incredible achievement, of global connection, and of catastrophic loss. The search for these forgotten civilizations is more than just an academic exercise. It is a deeply human quest. It is about searching for the missing pieces of our own identity. These people were our ancestors, not just in a genetic sense, but in a spiritual one. They were the pioneers who first wrestled with the great questions of existence. Who are we? Where do we come from? What is our place in the cosmos? Their ruins are the monuments they built to that struggle. And their mysteries are a direct inheritance, a challenge passed down to us across the ages. The work is far from over. Every year, new technologies and new discoveries push the boundaries of our knowledge further back in time. Satellites are peering through dense jungle canopies, ground-penetrating radar is revealing structures still buried beneath the earth, and underwater archaeology is just beginning to explore the submerged continental shelves. We are on the cusp of a new age of discovery, an age where we might finally find the missing pieces of this great puzzle and begin to read the unwritten chapter of our own past. Ultimately, the greatest lesson these forgotten civilizations teach us is one of humility. They remind us that our own time on this planet is just a brief moment in a vast, unfolding story. They show us that our own civilization, for all its technological might, is just as fragile as theirs were. The sands of time are always shifting, and one day, our own great cities and achievements may become the forgotten ruins and unsolved puzzles for a future generation to uncover. The search continues, fueled by that most powerful and enduring of all human traits, our endless curiosity. And so, our long journey comes to a close. We find ourselves back where we began, listening. We have traveled from the first stirrings of ambition on a Turkish hilltop to a city of impossible engineering on a Pacific reef. We have walked with ghosts in the jungles of Mexico and in the dust of Pakistan. What is the great unifying truth that binds these lost worlds together? The answer, I believe, is found in the silence itself. Yet within these varied silences, there is a common echo, human aspiration. It is the sound of humanity striving to be more than what it is. This journey has taught me that history is a conversation between the past and the present, and the most profound truths are often spoken in the quietest tones. The search for forgotten civilizations is, in the end, an act of listening to the stories that the wind carries and the messages hidden in the silence of the stones. I have often thought of the earth itself as a great library, where the books are not made of paper and ink, but of soil and stone. My life's work, and the work of all archaeologists, is to be a librarian of this dusty collection. The chapters we have read together on this journey tell of worlds that reached for greatness and then fell into oblivion. This library of dust teaches us a profound lesson in humility. They remind us that our own chapter, the one we are writing today, is not the final one. We must treat these ancient sites not as quarries for treasure, but as sacred texts. They contain warnings we must heed and wisdom we must rediscover. The story of humanity isn't a simple line from primitive to advanced. It's a rich tapestry, woven from countless threads. Many threads represent civilizations we know: Egypt, Rome, Greece. But some threads were broken off long ago, like the Olmecs, the Indus, and Nan Madol. They're the ghosts in the weave, adding depth we're only beginning to appreciate. This tapestry is our story. Every thread is part of our shared heritage. By rediscovering these lost threads, we create a richer picture of who we are. It is easy to look upon these fallen civilizations with a sense of superiority, to see their ruins as proof of our own progress. We have technology they could only dream of. We have a global knowledge that they could never possess. We feel in our hearts that we are different, that their fate could never be our own. But this, I believe, is the most dangerous illusion of all. The stories of these lost worlds are not just curiosities, they are cautionary tales. They hold a mirror up to our own civilization, and the reflection is not always a flattering one. What is the wisdom of the fallen? It is the understanding that no society is immune to collapse. The Indus Valley civilization, a model of sustainability and order, was undone by a climate it could not control. Their fate is a stark and urgent warning for our own world as we face our own climate crisis. Their empty cities cry out across the millennia, reminding us that our relationship with our environment is not a negotiation, it is a dependency. If we poison our rivers and alter our skies, we risk the same fate. The Mound of the Dead is a monument to a future we must strive to avoid. The fallen also teach us about the dangers of rigid and over-centralized power. The Sodalur kings of Nan Madol created a magnificent capital, but their oppressive rule and isolation from their people ultimately led to their downfall. Their story reminds us that a society's true strength lies not in its monuments, but in its people and its sense of shared purpose. When a system becomes too brittle, too extractive, and too disconnected from the lives of ordinary people, it is destined to break. The empty canals of their ghost city are a lesson in the perils of hubris and the enduring power of popular discontent. but there is also positive wisdom to be found. In the apparent egalitarianism of the Indus cities, we see a model of society that valued public works over private palaces. At Göbekli Tepe, we see the incredible power of a shared belief to unite people in a common monumental project. These civilizations show us that humanity is capable of incredible cooperation, breathtaking creativity, and profound spiritual depth. The wisdom of the fallen is not just a warning, it is also an inspiration. It is a reminder of what we are capable of, both for good and for ill, and a challenge to choose our path wisely. The search for forgotten civilizations is a race against time. These precious sites are under constant threat. They are threatened by the relentless march of modern development, by the greed of looters who would sell our shared heritage for profit, and by the changing climate that erodes and submerges the very foundations of the past. We are at a critical moment in history. We have the technology to discover and understand these lost worlds like never before, but we are also living in an age where they are disappearing faster than we can save them. This places a great responsibility upon our shoulders. We have a duty of care, a promise we must make to the past. This promise has two parts. The first is the promise of preservation. We must work to protect these irreplaceable sites, to shield them from destruction, and to ensure that they survive for future generations to learn from and wonder at. This requires international cooperation, local community involvement, and a global recognition that these places are not the property of one nation, but are the heritage of all humankind. They are world treasures, and we must be their guardians. The second part of our promise is the promise of remembrance. It is not enough to simply protect these places as sterile museum pieces. We must strive to tell their stories, to give voice to the people who lived and died there, to celebrate their achievements and learn from their failures. This is the work of archaeologists, historians, filmmakers, and storytellers. It is our job to rescue these civilizations from oblivion, to write them back into the human story, and to ensure that their names and their legacies are never forgotten again. We are the memory keepers for a world that has forgotten too much. This is a promise that everyone can be a part of. By supporting archaeological research, by visiting museums, by learning about the ancient world, and by simply nurturing a sense of curiosity and wonder about the past, we all become guardians of this legacy. We become part of a great chain of memory, stretching from the first builders of Göbekli Tepe to the children of the future. It is a sacred trust, a commitment to honoring the full, complex, and magnificent story of our shared human journey. We owe it to those who came before us, and we owe it to those who will come after. Our journey through the secrets beneath the sands has reached its end, but the quest for knowledge has no final destination. The horizon of our understanding is always expanding, always receding before us. For every question we answer, a dozen new ones arise. For every ruin we uncover, we know there are countless more still sleeping beneath the earth, waiting for their stories to be told. The world is still full of mysteries, and the past has not given up all its secrets, not by a long shot. The greatest discoveries may still lie ahead of us. What will we find tomorrow? Will we finally decipher the Indus script and unlock the literature of a lost empire? Will we find a submerged city off the coast of India or in the Caribbean that rewrites the timeline of maritime exploration? Will we uncover a new, even older temple in the hills of Turkey that pushes the dawn of civilization back even further? We do not know. And that is the most exciting part. The unknown is a vast and thrilling territory, and the human spirit is driven by an unquenchable thirst to explore it. This endless curiosity is perhaps the most powerful thread that connects us to every civilization we have studied. It is the same impulse that drove the builders of Göbekli Tepe to gaze at the stars and carve their meanings in stone. It is the same drive that pushed the Olmecs to haul massive boulders across miles of jungle, and the Pacific Islanders to sail into the unknown. It is the desire to know, to understand, to push beyond the boundaries of our small world, and to grasp something larger than ourselves. This is the fire that has fueled the human journey from the very beginning. So I leave you with this thought. Keep asking questions. Keep looking for the patterns. Listen for the whispers in the wind. The story of humanity is the greatest detective story ever told, and we are all a part of it. The secrets are out there, waiting for us. They are buried not only beneath the sands of distant deserts, but within the depths of our own past, within our own collective soul. The horizon is endless and the journey is everything. Keep searching.